You are not your job. You're not how much money you have in the bank. You're not the car you drive. That's not just a line from Fight Club. It's a primal scream from the hollow chest of a generation of men who feel like ghosts in their own lives. We live in an age where masculinity has been packaged, neutered, and sold back in safe doses. Men are told to be strong, but never angry. Provide, but never complain. Lead, but never dominate. Feel, but never too much. The result? Millions of men silently suffocating, smiling while dying inside, following rules they never wrote, shrinking themselves to be liked, accepted, and appropriate, and then lying awake at night wondering why they feel fake, anxious, and numb. Fight Club isn't about violence. It's about the explosion of repressed masculinity. It's about what happens when the male mind, denied expression, denied purpose, denied brotherhood, starts to turn inward, rot, and self-destruct. Behavioral psychology studies reveal something uncomfortable. Men experience a dopamine surge during controlled aggression, especially in competitive physical environments. This isn't about being evil, it's about biology. For tens of thousands of years, men survived through direct engagement, hunting, defending, building in dangerous conditions. Life demanded strength, risk, and courage. But in the modern world, testosterone doesn't vanish just because you work in an office. Your primal wiring doesn't care about your corporate Zoom calls. It still hungers for challenge, risk, conquest, and camaraderie. And when those needs aren't met in healthy ways, they seep out through the cracks in rage, addiction, depression, and self-sabotage. This is why Fight Club resonates so deeply. It shows what happens when the pressure cooker finally blows. We are a generation of men raised by women. I'm wondering if another woman is really the answer we need. Tyler Durden. This isn't about hating women. It's about the disappearance of male initiation in modern culture. Where are the rites of passage? Where are the elders? The trials that burn weakness away and forge identity? Without them, men drift. Instead, they medicate themselves with porn, alcohol, weed, video games, antidepressants. They scroll endlessly, chase shallow approval, and pretend they're fine while carrying a constant ache they can't name. Take Alex, 32. Polite. Respectful. The kind of man who never says no, avoids conflict, and apologizes for existing. For years, he swallowed every frustration, every disappointment, every unmet desire. Until one day, after being cut off in traffic, he snapped. He screamed until his throat burned. He hit a man he'd never met. And when it was over, he felt relief. Alex didn't need prison. He needed permission to be whole, not just nice. He needed a place to rip off the polite mask, face himself, and reclaim the parts of him he'd buried to survive. The tragedy? Alex isn't unique. A 2023 global mental health survey found men are 3 times more likely than women to die by suicide, yet far less likely to seek help. Why? Because help feels like weakness. Vulnerability feels like exposure. Talking feels like defeat. So they bottle it up until the bottle shatters. The fight isn't about blood. It's about breaking the lie that being a man means being numb, that your only worth is what you produce, that your ambition is greed, your power is toxic, your desires are shameful, and your strength is dangerous. In the fight, a man reconnects with something sacred, his own aliveness. Pain becomes proof that he's still here. Fear becomes fuel. Brotherhood becomes salvation. In Fight Club, the men don't just hit each other. They wake each other up. Tyler isn't just a character in a movie. He's the voice that slips out in your own head at 2 a.m. when you're staring at the ceiling and wondering how the hell your life ended up here. He's not flesh and blood. He's the part of you that remembers who you were before the world told you who to be. The part that still knows you were meant for something harder, wilder and truer than the fluorescent-lit existence you've been sold. For years, that part of you has been smothered. By school systems that teach compliance over courage. By workplaces that demand you smile while you break. By a culture that tells you to be strong, but never too strong. To be a provider, but never talk about what it costs you. To open up, but only in ways that make you less threatening. So you learned to cut pieces off yourself to fit into a smaller and smaller box. You buried your instincts under politeness. You replaced risk with routine. You turned down the volume on your hunger until you couldn't even hear it anymore. And yet it never really goes away. You feel it in flashes, the rush in your chest when you push yourself too far at the gym, the split second of rage when someone disrespects you, the pang in your gut when you see a man living with the freedom you've denied yourself. That's Tyler, the unspoken, unexpressed part of you, silenced, medicated, humiliated, ignored, now clawing to the surface. And when it finally gets there, it's not asking for permission. It's only after we've lost everything that we're free to do anything. That's not a cool movie quote. It's the truth that terrifies the world you live in. Because a man with nothing left to lose is a man who can no longer be controlled. What if the life you're living isn't actually yours? What if it's a pre-approved script? School, job, mortgage, weekends, retirement, handed to you by a system that doesn't care if you're fulfilled, only that you stay predictable. What if the things you've been told to fear, your anger, your ambition, your hunger for challenge and brotherhood, aren't toxic at all, but the last living proof that you haven't completely gone numb? Because here's the truth. Men are in crisis. Not because masculinity is broken, but because it's been stripped of the very conditions that once gave it meaning. For thousands of years, manhood was earned. Through rites of passage. Through risk. Through contribution to something larger than yourself. You didn't just wake up a man, you became one. Now, there's no fire to walk through. No elder to test you. No tribe to belong to. So men drift. They bury their dissatisfaction under porn, alcohol, weed, video games, and antidepressants. They chase likes instead of respect. They manage stress instead of confronting the source. And when it all gets too heavy, they disappear, sometimes slowly, sometimes all at once. A man without purpose is dangerous, not to others, but to himself. And the tragedy is, society only notices when the bottle breaks. Maybe that's why Fight Club still cuts like a blade decades later. Because deep down, every man knows he doesn't just want to be safe. He wants to be tested. He wants to feel the blood in his veins, the fire in his chest, and the weight of another man's trust in his hands. Maybe every man secretly wants his own Fight Club. Not for the violence, but for the honesty. Because for the first time in his life, he wouldn't have to act. He wouldn't have to pretend he's fine. He could finally be the thing he's been missing all along, fully alive.